Hi, Allie and Joe. My name is Erica Weitz. I am 35 years old. I live in St. Augustine, Florida, originally from New Jersey. I wanted to share this video with you because we've been following your story, my husband and I. Michael Weitz, he comes from a family who has Huntington's disease. His mom and his two aunts, all three of them have Huntington's disease. So we wanted to share our story with you to, hopefully inspire you guys and give you guys some hope. And we've been following your journey, and we understand how absolutely difficult and painful it is at times. So just wanted to extend our best wishes to you guys and let you know that you're not alone. I'm sure you're getting a ton of these. I know that we weren't alone in our journey, but I found so many similarities to our stories, and I know that Huntington's and just the entire situation could be so isolating. So just wanted to share, and hopefully, as I said, hopefully it inspires you. My husband's not here. He is not a camera person. I've been asking him to do this video for quite some time, and I think a part of him is very shy, and another part of him just really does not like talking about it. He has not gotten tested, which is why we did this IVF process. He still doesn't know, and as I said, his mom has it and his two aunts. So, it's been a really tough ride, and I feel like he lives his life kind of on borrowed time. Like, he feels like he's running out of time all the time. So it's a little tough to get him to see the positive in life and to, keep going. And man, does he keep going. He is a fighter through and through. So anyway, so I'll start from the beginning. We met in New York. He is a huge Mets fan. Joe, we really hope you come to the Mets at some point in time, just to put it out there. We met in 2010 through a mutual friend. Within the first week of being together, he told me about Huntington's, and he told me about his family and his mom, who was on the street at the time. She was homeless in Limbrook, New York. She refused medication. She was in a state where she was not allowing anybody to help her. We managed to get her into a nursing home probably a couple of years after we started dating. I think right after we got engaged, so maybe more than that. It was during Sandy, Hurricane Sandy, that we managed to get her into the hospital and then into a home thereafter. She was still able to walk and sort of communicate, but it was getting really tough. She was also unmedicated, so she was violent and mean and, would chase us down the street if she saw us, or she would, come to our apartment. She found out where we lived, and it was really terrible. We tried to help her every way we could, but she, would get kicked out of places. She would get kicked out of hotel rooms that we would put her in. She would get kicked out of apartments that we would lease out. Our credit was destroyed, just trying to help her, maxing out credit cards and such. So finally we were able to get her into a nursing home, which was great, after so much fight with the state and trying to prove that she was not able to care for herself. Super, just always disappointed in how the state handled the situation. In any case, we finally got her some help. All the while, we had decided from the moment that we had started dating that we were not going to have children. I was never going to put him in a position where he needed to get tested in order for me to, be a mom. At that time, my career was more important, and I was going to school and, working full time. I work in HR for an investment bank, and I was trying to get my HR certification. So it wasn't in our plans. And then I turned 30. I turned 30 years old, and I realized that, you know, it was really important for me to find out what it was like to be a mom. Um, but I realized that he was never going to get tested. That is something that he made very clear very early on in our relationship, and I was very loyal to that, and I respected that very much. So I started to do some research, and I found out about IVF with PGD testing. I did my research. At that time, we were already here in St. Augustine. We had already been married for some time, and I know that my husband is a numbers person. So I gathered as much analytics as I could, statistics around, you know, success rates and depending, you know, on our age. And, you know, I was 30 years old, so my eggs were golden, as so many people and so many doctors said to me. We would have no problem. You know, he was young, I was young, we were healthy, we work out 5 days a week, we eat super healthy, we don't smoke, we don't drink, never did, we've never done drugs, we're, you know, as straight shooting as you could find. And every doctor said we would really have no problem. We would do one cycle and it would be done. So, and I would get, you know, 20 embryos, and, you know, we'd have a whole, you know, slew of embryos to choose from. And I laugh now, just because of how ridiculous that all is and how damaging and hurtful it is for a doctor to overpromise on something that's such a it's such a chance. You take a chance on this, and you just really never know. So anyway, so I brought him the idea, and he definitely was a little nervous. He had spent all his, you know, all his time with me, thinking that we were never going to be parents, and we had, you know, come to terms with that. And here I was flipping the script on him. So he said okay, and we went and we interviewed some doctors. We interviewed one doctor here in Jacksonville, and the first words out of his mouth were, "Hey, you know, why are you putting her through this? You should just get tested." Which was really just so heartbreaking, because you come to these doctors, you know, trying to explain to them what your personal choices and what you need from them to help you in this really difficult journey. And we felt judged right from the beginning. And that was really, really hurtful. So we said no to that doctor. And, you know, it's funny because he had a great reputation, and I was really nervous to say no to him, but at the same time, it just didn't feel right. I didn't want a doctor that was going to impose what his personal beliefs were. This is our choice, and this is the direction that we want to go in, and, you know, can you do it or not? That's really what we were there for. So we went to the Florida Institute for Reproductive Medicine firm in Jacksonville. We picked the doctor who had the best numbers statistically, the best success rates, Dr. Freeman. We spoke with him, we interviewed him. He definitely seemed very type A, very about the numbers. My husband is much the same, so I thought it was a great choice. We got everything scheduled. I was very fortunate that my company covered 90% of IVF treatment for the first cycle only. So that was something that we knew, but so many doctors had said that we only needed one try. So we were very confident going in. I remember, you know, the first time that we did our first shot, and he didn't go strong enough or hard enough with the with the needle, and it bounced right off my skin, and he panicked. And we laughed, and it was so scary. It was so overwhelming. We didn't know. It just felt like we didn't know what we were doing, and here we were trying to make a kid. It was so insane. But I definitely was very stressed. I was super stressed out. You know, you go and you get the blood work, and you get, you know, you're looking at the follicles, and they're telling you, and they're showing you, and you're counting follicles left and right, and they're just not growing. And Dr. Freeman was telling me, at this point, at day, 3, at day 4, I would have expected to see this many follicles growing, or, at day 6, I would have expected you to be here. And it was so much pressure. And the more time passed and the less I saw that the follicles were growing, the more anxiety I got, and the more lost I felt, and the more I felt like I had been cheated. Into believing that this was going to be such an easy process. So we made it to day 10. We did the trigger shot. 36 hours later, we showed up on time. We walked in. They extracted or retrieved the eggs, and we got 3, which was really disappointing because we were doing the PGD and PGS testing, the blind testing, for a reason, and it was so that my husband wouldn't find out whether he had it or not. As I'm sure they do PGD testing and they test for Huntington's, but they test for 100 or 200 other genetic diseases. So, having 3 eggs was not enough to statistically give us a shot if he did have Huntington's. If it's a 50-50 shot and you think, 3 eggs, if they become embryos or if they blasticize, the chances that all 3 of them make it were not strong enough. And here we were with, statistical Dr. Freeman telling me the numbers were not in our favor. But we were going to wait and see. At day 3 of the embryos growing, they died, all 3 of them. I got a call from Dr. Freeman. I was at work, and he called me and he said, I have bad news for you. Your 3 embryos all died. They were not strong enough. And then he said the words that I think were the worst thing that you could say to anyone in this process. And I still to date don't really know why he said this to me, but he said, if I were you, I would try this one more time and then I wouldn't do it again. And I asked him why, as I was crying, obviously, because I had just gotten news that our first round was worthless. We didn't even make it to day 5. We didn't even make it to blast. And he said, statistically speaking, you did not respond the way that I wanted you to, and I don't think that you're going to in the future. And I took that home with me, and I cried, and my husband cried, and we were just kind of like, what did we get ourselves into? Why are we doing this, and is it really worth it? And I thought my eggs were golden, and I thought we were going to have all these eggs, and I thought all these uncertainties and all these questions. And I gave it a couple months after that. We took a break and we took a step back, and we took a small vacation and we just kind of regrouped. And then I went back to Firm to speak with another doctor, a female doctor, Dr. Van Gerben. And I explained to her what it was that happened. And I said, I don't understand why he would say that to me. I'm young, I'm healthy. I see people all over the place that do 5, 6, 7 rounds of IVF, and no one's ever told that they should only do it once or twice. Why is he telling me that I can only do it one more time? And she couldn't find the words. She doesn't know. And at the end of the day, I realized, and I think, and I still believe this, that I don't think he thought I could afford it. And that was so heartbreaking for me, that someone would judge, that we were young, and, my husband owns his own business. He owns an auto repair shop. But we're certainly not loaded by any means. As I said, I'm an HR business partner for an investment bank in Jacksonville, Florida. I make well under $100,000 a year. We're not loaded, but we had the health insurance that was covering. I guess he knew that it was only covering the first round and only the first round. So I'm assuming that he assumed that we were just not going to be able to do it much more than that. And that was just so painful, because I realized, if he's saying that to me, how many other people is he discouraging just based on their financial status? How many hearts is he breaking by saying that? it was so painful. And when I realized that Dr. Von Gerwen did not feel the same way, and that she said to me, we're gonna make this work, we're gonna make this happen, and you can do as many rounds as possible healthily, obviously not putting you in danger, but we're gonna try this, and we're gonna throw the kitchen sink at this. That filled me with so much hope, and it filled me with so much strength, because I knew that I had finally found the right doctor. So we went to round 2, and it didn't go well. Again, I mean, it went better, but it did not go well. At the end of it all, we got 5 eggs, and only 1 blasticized. So it was immediately frozen, and we put it on hold because we wanted to obviously see, well, what do we do now, right? Now we're pretty much forced to do a 3rd round. We were not planning on a 3rd round. By this time, we are severely in debt with round 2. And Firm was so kind to donate a lot of the medication to us, just based on our circumstances and just our fight, really. They saw that we were really trying so hard here that they donated some of the medication, but not all. I was on Menopur. I was on, I can't remember, my goodness, I can't believe I can't even remember the second medication. I'm sure you know it, Allie. Then I was on a human growth hormone. I was on a steroid. It was a cream that you rubbed like on the inside of your arm. I did that for like a month before we even started the cycle. I was on another cream that I'm not even going to tell you where that went or what we did with that, but it was awful and gross and uncomfortable. It was everything. It was everything. We did everything for round 2, and we got 1. So we decided right then and there that we were going to do a 3rd round. It took a lot of convincing. My husband did not want to do it. He had a lot of guilt that, you know, he could just go and get tested and I didn't have to go through this. That's how he felt. And I kept telling him and repeating to him, we're in this together. And we made a promise to each other that we were going to support each other through the good times and the bad times. And this is just a rough patch, and we're gonna get through this. So we're gonna do round 3, and I feel like this is our round. I don't know why. Nothing's any different. We're not doing anything any different, but this is our round. So we went to round 3, completely in debt. Our insurance did not cover the 3rd round at all. Again, we just put it on we took our savings out and we went for it. And in round 3, we got 13 eggs. Not all of them made it. We had 4 make it to blast. So we went from 1 embryo to 5 embryos. They were immediately biopsied and sent out, and then I remember it being the longest 3 weeks of my life. And then 2 weeks later, we're, hoping for really good news. We're waiting and waiting, and my doctor calls me and actually calls Mike, because I could not take those calls anymore. I could not hear another piece of bad news. I just couldn't. My heart couldn't take it. So I asked Mike to please be my person. So the doctor called him and told him that our embryos that were biopsied, the piece that was biopsied off of every single embryo came back with no DNA, which meant that we had to thaw them out, biopsy them again, and freeze them again. And she said that the chances that they were going to make it were not great, because that's a lot of trauma to put on an embryo, to freeze them, thaw them, biopsy them again, and then freeze them again. So what choice did we have? We didn't have a choice. So we asked her to go ahead and unfreeze, to thaw, biopsy again, and we'll see what happens, knowing really well that we might have just destroyed our chances again. They did it. They called us and they said that only 1 died. So we had 4 that were sent for biopsy again. This time they did find DNA. So we waited on another 4 weeks, and they called us and they said that all 4 of our embryos were healthy and viable. So that was an incredible phone call to get. We were super excited. We cried and we danced and we, just talked and made plans and then got my body ready. I did acupuncture, I did yoga, I did meditation, I ate everything healthy imaginable. I took probiotics, I took prebiotics, I took my prenatal vitamin. They put these little seeds in my ear to see if I can, be more fertile when it came time to transfer the embryo. And then Dr. Von Gerben came and she chose the most viable embryo, and we showed up on July, I believe it was July 7th, and we transferred our bean, and we waited the 10 days, and it was the longest 10 days. In those 10 days, I had a little spotting, and I was certain that I had lost any chance. I was full of negativity, and I was full of doubt. But I hung on for 10 days, and then they called me on day 10, and they said that I was pregnant. And it was the best phone call I think I've ever gotten in my life. And then it was the best phone call I ever made to my husband and to my family. And from then on, it was the healthiest, most beautiful pregnancy. He was 2 weeks late, so he was very, very, very comfortable in my belly. He was 2 weeks late. He was born on April 13th, 2018, and he is literally the light of our lives. We could not be happier. We could not be more whole and more complete than we are now, thanks to that little man. His name is Ayden Alexander Weitz. He is a Mets fan through and through. Joe, again, we really need you. So we hope that you make your way to the Mets. We'll treat you good, we promise. And here we are. So I really hope that this video makes it to you guys, and I really hope that it gives you some hope. I know that you guys are waiting for your DNA testing to come back, and I know that there is a little bean in there just waiting for you guys. So best of luck to you. Just know that we're all in this together, and Huntington's is a terrible, terrible disease, and we are definitely making it one step closer to a cure by going this route. You guys are doing an amazing job in helping people who can't afford this process, and you're doing a great job in screening doctors to make sure that no one goes through what I went through in being told that I wasn't going to be able to do it, or that we went through a doctor who said that we were wasting our time. Those are really painful words and a really painful process for something that's already a really tough decision to make. So I appreciate you, and I only wish that we would have known about you guys sooner. But it's okay. I hope that you continue to help other people, and that you continue to do everything that you're doing. We decided to take action after we had the bean. We felt super, super inspired, and we started a Latin American festival, the first Latin American festival in St. Augustine history here in St. Augustine, Florida. We started it from scratch. Just a bunch of friends and my husband and I got together, and we decided to try to leave a mark in this world. I am from Colombia, and we wanted to offer my child a space for him to grow in a world of inclusion and diversity and love and unity. We worked really, really hard to get him here, and now we're going to make sure that our little man makes a change in this world, and leaves a mark, and we are going to do that. We're making sure that this festival is a success for him and for my community and for so many other communities that feel marginalized right now. So we worked really hard, and we're not going to throw away this opportunity of bringing this little human being into this world for nothing. We're going to make sure that he is the change that we wish to see. So we would love for you guys to follow our festival if you can. Unidos en la Música, a Latin American festival, on Facebook or Instagram. Any support will help. any support will help. But at this point, we really just wanted to share our story with you, and just know that we're over here fighting the good fight, and I know that you guys are fighting your fight, and I am super confident that you're going to make a beautiful baby, and it's going to be everything that you wanted. So thank you so much. Best of luck to you guys. We're rooting for you, and we hope to see that little bean really soon. Thank you.